Hello YouTube. It's a weekday night stream. We're gonna try to play a league, and then if the prelim fires in an hour and a half, then we'll play that. Else we'll just finish the league and call it a night. We're playing Bazaar Baghdad tonight. This is similar, it's almost the same as No Props list. They've been doing pretty well in leagues and challenges with this black green Hogaak Bazaar deck. It's more of an aggro deck rather than like HogaakVine, which plays a bunch of permission. You got Hogaaks and Bloodgas as citrus suppliers. Still playing some Collector Oof and Force of Vigor in the main to try to not die to PO. But you are a lot more creature focused than something like HogaakVine. In the sideboard, you have a bunch of Deafening Silences to help out that combo matchup, and then some various Graveyard Hates, Assassin's Trophy as a catch-all, Chalice also for PO, and then more anti-artifact for PO and shops. This is almost exactly No Props list. I made some changes over the course of, I've played about like 7 leagues, I guess, with this now. I made some changes to the main and side, but nothing too crazy. Yeah, let's just jump right in. So this is going to be round 1. 719. We're on the play. Sweet. Alright, let's battle. So the cool thing about this deck is it doesn't need to bulk into Bazaar, though you still kind of want to, especially in game 1 where you are just trying to do the most powerful Bazaar thing in the fastest way possible. In game 2, you're more likely to keep maybe permission or like a prison heavy hand against PO or something like that. But in game 1, you do want to try to find your Bazaar, which we did. We don't have Serum Powder, which is worth noting. So you're not as good at finding Bazaar as something like HogaakVine. Put away at least a Wasteland. No reason I can't keep a Vigor around for now. I actually don't think I've seen Iliag in a while. Actually, I played them for them recently, but not recently enough to know what they're on. Thanks. Got rid of some quarantine hair, so. Actually, I did a throwback. I had my dad hair. It's been many years since last time that happened. Alright, so here we're definitely just going to take the hollow one. You could take the Vengevine, maybe. But I think it's important to put a clock on as fast as possible. I don't think Winged would say differently. We hit a Vengevine here, then we can have these. Yeah, sure. So pitch Vengevine, pitch Rootwalla, pitch Citrus Supplier, trigger Rootwalla, cast Hollow One, trigger Vengevine. We got a clean 9 power. What an engine. We don't have any permission in our hand though, so obviously we can get tinkered or PO'd or anything like that. Which is one of the, downsides to playing this deck as opposed to playing HogaakVine. If this was a green creature, we would have some protection against that kind of stuff happening. We get to maybe Wasteland next turn and slow them down as we try to beat them down with our current 2-turn clock. So. Tundra. Jet. That looks like PO. Be Swords to Plowshares though. Second Bazaar. Pretty unlikely that a second Bazaar is going to do what we want, mostly because we know there's a Vengevine in the bottom of our deck. I think that's how Once Upon a Time works, yeah? bottom in the random order. We know there's adventure on the bottom of our deck, and we know there's only 3 root walls left. It's gonna be pretty hard, but I think we could just activate Bazaar first, see cards, and develop a game plan. This Swords of Plowshares. This is okay, interesting. Sure. That could be bad for us because it means they could kill us on the next turn. But we're definitely going to wasteland them here to try to keep them off of this. And this is great draw, actually. So now we have Force of Vigor as well. So we're just going to pitch Fisher Supplier, Bazaar, Wasteland. We'll just wasteland them off of this source, hit them for 9, and then they have to deal with our board and try to win through a Vigor. So, really good hand. What we're looking for in game 1. I'm in one of the 2 best states for the COVID situation. Rhode Island and Connecticut have been continually decreasing the number of COVID cases. So in my neck of the woods, we're doing very well. The rest of the United States is not. Though even in my local vicinity, there's some problems. Like someone on my floor at work came into work showing symptoms, at least cold symptoms, and ended up having COVID as early as Monday. They were still at work on Monday, so hopefully that doesn't cause like a outbreak on my floor. But all right, Soul Ring. So it looks like they're gonna go towards Tinker here. What would what would a 4-color PO deck Demonic Tutor for here? Maybe Tolarian Time Walk or something. Yeah, I could have it right now, and I wouldn't know. I'm trying to think if I can just Vigor right now, and what would that do for me? And it would make it so they can't fetch Tolarian. If they fetch Tolarian, they can just play Tolarian, and then they immediately have 3 mana, right? I actually think I think this makes sense. The other problem is like, I kind of want them to maybe tinker. I don't want them to tinker, but if they tinkered for a Bolas's Citadel, I could kill the Bolas's Citadel, but they only have 7 life, so I'm not actually that worried about that. Let's see what happens from this point, this play. Ooh, Lotus. Gonna be Yawgmoth's Will. Just replay everything I just countered. That's pretty bad for me. That's certainly the downside to the line I just took. So they had either Lotus or Will, and they DT'd for the other side. I could have not given them a free mana. Yeah, so my play was probably poor. So we're learning something. So the upside was stopping Tolarian Academy, but the downside was playing into Yawgmoth's Will. But those are both... It's weird, because... So, I think it's still upside is, like, percentage-wise is better for me, right? Because the Yawgmoth's Will line means they have to have a Black Lotus or a Yawgmoth's Will in their hand, and then they're going to DT for one or the other. Whereas the Tolarian Academy can just be in their library. I'm probably dead here, I would assume. A DT and I gave them a DT, basically. They have a land drop, an Ancestral, a DT. I can't imagine I don't die here. Right. I just thought that it was like... It was more likely that they would want to be able to DT for 2 blue mana than... I guess if they're gonna if they need 2 blue mana, they can always DT for Lotus. So I think my play was just bad, actually. I think my line was just bad. I just should not have used my Force of Vigor. I should have held Force of Vigor for a PO or a Tinker. So, one misplay might easily cost us this game for sure. See what happens. So now they're gonna... What's gonna happen now? The good news is if they do go for like a Tinker line, they're only at 7 life. But if they find like Mentor, Time Walk, like we just can't ever. We just find Mentor at all here. I don't think I can win, right? They went for Time Walk. That's odd. Don't they have a land drop as well? No, they don't have a land drop because we wasted them. That makes sense then. I just like can't beat Mentor here is the biggest problem. And like I could attack through a Mentor by finding like a Hogaak, but it's just gonna take too long and they're just going to like PO combo me. I lose a lot of games with this deck to Mentor. Mentor is one of the biggest problems I've found. Maybe we need some illness in the ranks. Winged. They didn't have another spell follow-up? That's a good draw. I mean, that was a really good hit. So we activate Bazaar in our upkeep because we have no cards. So we were just binning 2 cards before we draw. Now if we draw a land drop, we return a Bloodghast. If they have no spells, they're dead. I don't have that many land drops in my deck, so it's kind of unlikely, but... and I have no choice but to attack all. They don't, they have Pyroblast, okay. That makes sense. Now they can eat my Root Walla and chump one of these. Yeah, they basically just need to have any spell, like any like preordain anything, and it's gonna be really hard for us. It was a really bad misplay on my part. It's like a really, really bad misplay on my part. Huh. We learned something. It's really bad to lose game 1s with this deck. So I've been tracking data, and I'll probably show you guys while I'm sideboarding. I don't think it's chat's fault. I made the choice. I don't even think I asked chat that time. I think I just made a really bad misplay, which is, I just like didn't know why it would be a misplay, and we learned. So definitely worth. It's definitely a misplay worth making because we learned something from it. If they have only lands, I guess we can win. If they have like 1 Moxen and only lands, we would win too. Or if we had a land, we might win. I need to be aware of that though. Like if they can just DT, I still like they have to have Lotus or Will in their hand. That's kind of annoying. That one's pretty annoying here. Draws a card and gets a monk. Gets 2 monks if they just bounce their like Soul Ring instead of bouncing one of these. Not great for them to bounce one of these because it just gives me another card for Bazaar. Though bouncing Vengevine is pretty reasonable because I have to get 2 creatures, cast 2 spells. It's gonna be very hard. I would be, if I was them, I think I might have bounced Soul Ring. Because then that way you're getting 2 monks. Oh, whoa, 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 what are you doing, opponent? That's aggressive. That's really aggressive. Maybe they have second Pyroblast. If opponent doesn't have another spell, all I need to do is play a land drop, and I have a Bloodghast with haste. And I have an active Bazaar here. I hit the land drop, so I might have a chance here. Bing. Play a land drop, return, maybe they forgot about Bloodghast? Let's find out, chat. Definitely don't play Lotus. I don't want to give them a chance to like Force of Will. Alright, do you have another second Pyroblast? That's really the only thing they can have. They can have Repeal. Oh, they misplayed. Alright, well, we snuck that one in. Woo, that was lucky. Lucky, lucky, lucky. You never expect the Bloodghast. All right, so against PO, I want to bring in my prison elements and then take out my slower grindier cards. Am I looking? So I want to bring in Chalice, and I want to bring in Force and Collector Oof and Deafening Silence, and then I want to take out my Bloodghast. I think I'm gonna take out Mental Misstep. I basically wanted Mental Misstep in the main as like a little bit extra ancestral protection, and then mostly for Swords to Plowshares. I'm still trying that one out. I'm not 100% sure yet. And then I like to trim like one Supplier, one Hogaak, and that way we're still playing like a Hollow One Bizarre Vengevine deck, but we also have, you know, maximum pieces to slow opponent, not slow opponent. I mean slow opponent down and stop them from doing their thing. That's how I've been boarding for that. So earlier I was mentioning that it's really important to win game one, and this is the reason why is this. So does this all show up on the screen? Yeah, it does. Okay. So I've been making this spreadsheet to track my Magic Online. Really super sweet. But basically I input the data when it comes in when I play my match, whether basically who my opponent is, what were they playing, what was I playing, was I on the play, and then what were the game results. That way I can see, you know, match data as in terms of win rate on the play and on the draw, and then game data pre and post board on the play and on the draw. And like the thing that I want to note here is that pre board this deck is like 75%. Right, this is obviously, you know, inflated and small amount of data, so like the numbers have a really high range that could be the actual percentage, but right now I'm seeing 20% difference between being pre-board and being post-board, which I think is like pretty significant. I don't think it's a symptom of being a Bazaar of Baghdad graveyard based deck, right? So that's highlights the importance of winning game one with this deck. But I just wanted to show this off. But I think it's super cool. Like, I think being able to see this difference is insightful. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it is. But anyways. Yeah, I could, if it's 0, I could, you know, I could handle that exception, but I'm just not going to decleave, so get over it. All right, so this is a good hand. This has permission and a Bazaar, so I'm definitely gonna keep it. That's like an extra like one thing I have to write. I'm just not doing it decleave. Yeah, I think we were incredibly lucky to win game one after we punted with the Force of Vigor. Opponent must have drawn very poorly. Agreed. Nope. How about instead someone plays me with those decks that I don't have data for yet? Breach, Oath, Dredge, Tinker, and lands. Actually, don't play me with lands. I don't want that. Is that how that works, Catfish? I didn't know that. I do want to. While we're waiting, I want to show off. Maybe I'll show off some of the cool things I did today. Do that after though. All right, Volcanic Island, Grafdigger's Cage. So not a huge deal because we do have a Force of Vigor. Actually, they mulligan to 5 and have a Grafdigger's Cage. I'm surprised. Grafdigger's Cage is not a common card to have in PO. Are we sure it's PO? Very likely. Oh, maybe it's Grixis Tinker. No, there was a Mentor. Gotta be 4-color PO. This is really interesting. Not a common card. But it's fine. I'm not gonna force now. I'd rather try to get two cards off it. We can still like choose a ton of different things to do here. Like, I'm not 100% sure Bazaar is the best. Well, I like a nice thing about playing the Stitcher Supplier now is that, well, I guess we can't bring back Blood Gas, so I guess it doesn't really matter. I think we'll just start with Bazaar. I think that's fine. I can still play hollow ones, so I definitely want to activate now. I don't think opponent will have any ways to kill my Bazaar, so I don't really need a second one. I don't need a second Once Upon a Time, but I kind of want one to pitch to Force, because I think I want to cast a Once Upon a Time here, have one to pitch to Force, and still have my Vengevine left over. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to pitch the Emerald and the Bayou. It's better to have a fetch land than the Bayou, because it's going to fuel my Delve for Hogak. And I'm going to cast this now in case I draw a hollow one. If I have a hollow one here, Collector or Basking Rootwalla. That's kind of unfortunate because I pitched my Emerald. It's going to be hard to cast this Oof. The deck doesn't have a lot of lands, so getting rid of a Bayou and an Emerald is going to make it hard to cast the Oof, but it might just be better to take the Rootwalla so that we can end of their turn, Force of Vigor, untap, and try to go for a Vengevine. I think that's what I'm going to do instead. Again, opponent mulliganed pretty hard here, down to 5 on the play, so they don't have that many other cards. As long as it's not like Ancestral, it should be okay. Yeah, I definitely got punished for discarding the Emerald for sure. I still think my discards were correct, though. Like, I definitely wanted to keep these, and I definitely wanted to be able to Vigor. So I'm not upset with the way I played my discards. It just lined up a little weird with Once Upon a Time for Oof. So what I'm hoping for is opponent just like misses on lands, hits like an off-color Moxen, plays the Moxen out. So they missed on lands after choosing not to shuffle. Interesting. Well, they might have a Force, I guess. I'm gonna go for this now just because I want to get my Vengevine into play. These two cards we're already gonna pitch these two. Okay, they do have Force of Will. They kept in Flusterstorm. Interesting. That makes things a little more difficult because we don't really want to pitch these cards into an active cage. That doesn't stop Rootwalla, right? Oh, a hollow one. Okay. So I probably am just still gonna make my play anyways. So now what I can do is discard, discard, discard. If I keep Hogak in my hand, I might be able to cast it. 1, 2, 3. If I don't want it to get countered, show, yes, but I was kind of hoping to hit 2 cards with it. Not gonna lie. Maybe that's greedy. And I could see that being greedy. It's definitely possible, but this doesn't bring them in, right? Okay. If you do that, if you hit yes into Containment Priest, it exiles them, but if you hit yes into Cage, it just doesn't do anything. This turn is going to be really good for us. I'm going to cast my Stitcher's Supplier, and then I'm going to cast Hogak from my hand. I'm going to get rid of Emerald, creature. I'm going to get rid of you just want to kind of get rid of things that they can surgical and things that make Tarmogoyf bigger. Obviously, not many of these things matter in this matchup. Things that make Tarmogoyf bigger, and then things that are not like super good for you to death, right? So you kind of want to leave spells and lands, and obviously Vengevines. That was a pretty good turn too. Nice Grafdigger's Cage. Is there any reason not to tap Hollow One? No, I probably should have tapped Hollow One. Only one, but it's a while away. Yeah, so opponent had a Force of Will and a Grafdigger's Cage, and I put in 14 power on turn 2. Reasonable. Not sure. Opponent's talking about trying to fire the prelim. We should be able to fire the prelim, I think. All right, that's a good start. So let's do W, win, enter, and oh, let me. I want to show the cool things I did. I did some cool additions. So before all this data was static, now it actually looks to see which deck you are you have listed as played. So like I could put in, you know, say I played 4-color control here, and then it would actually find my 4-color control data. Sweet. Now it's actually based on the deck that you chose. Modular. Then the other cool thing is that I made it so you can look up players that you played before and see what you played versus. So now if I was like, oh, what did I play? What's Amir gonna play versus me? Oh, he played Jeskai versus me twice. Well, I mean, let's see. Let's see log. This is Xerox. This is Xerox. This is Xerox.